What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Kelvin Sowa and I'm on a mission to helping new developers understand how to build cross-platform mobile applications with React Native. If you've been following along the series so far, you must have already set up your development environment at this point and also understand how to work with some of the core React Native components. If that's the case, you are doing so well, and I'd say that keep the fire burning. In this episode, I'm going to take things a step further and introduce you to two really important concepts in React Native that you'll be using all the time when building apps. And these are the React hooks, specifically the useState hook and then the useEffect hooks. Also, we're going to learn how to break down parts of our UI into smaller, cleaner, and reusable pieces. Learning how to manage states and handling side effects is what turns a static UI into a real dynamic app. And learning how to extract and reuse components is how you keep your code clean and easy to scale. By the end of this video, you learn how to use the useState hook to track and update data in your app, and also how to use the useEffect hook to perform actions whenever things change. Finally, you learn how to break down your code into meaningful components, which makes your code easier to read and maintain. If this sounds exciting, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. It really helps a lot. Now let's get to coding. Okay, so we are back in our workspace here right now. And before we begin, let's check out to a different branch. As you can see, currently we're in the main branch. I've gone ahead to merge the latest updates onto the main branch, and I've fetched it by pressing this button here to make sure that our local main branch is the same as what's on the remote branch. So I'm going to create a new branch for today's lesson. So I'm going to say git checkout B. So currently this is lesson 3, so we can just check out to lesson number 3 like this. Okay, so right now we are on the 3rd lesson. Now the app is currently running here. This is what we are seeing here right now. Okay, so what I want us to do now is that I want us to extract what we've done so far as a component, so we can have that lesson as a different component, and any subsequent lesson that we do, we create a new component for that lesson. Okay, so this is the lesson 2 components that we have here. So I can go ahead, come to our Explorer, and then create a new file here. You can press this button here to create a new file, or in an empty space here, you right click and then you see new file, and I'm going to say components and add a slash, and then I'm going to say lesson 2 for the previous lesson. Now this component is going to be a folder, and then it's going to create this lesson 2 file within this component. Let me add a .tsx, which means TypeScript, inside. So as you can see, it's created a file inside the component folder. Now I'm going to use this shorthand snippet here, which is rnfes here, and it's going to create this structure for me. I basically use this structure for all React Native components, so it's a good thing to have this shortcut here, which when you hit, is going to create this boilerplate for you. So let me clear everything again and type in rnfes, and then it's going to bring that up. And I'm going to change the name here to lesson 2 like this. Now if you want to know how I'm able to do this, it's actually an extension that I installed from VS Code. I think it is React ES6. Let's space it, React ES6 snippet, also snippets, if I'm not mistaken. Let's say React snippet. All right, I think this is it. Yeah, so ES7 plus React Redux snippet. Let's bring this out here. So this is basically the extension. You can go ahead and then install it, and then you are going to be able to use that shortcut to get the starter code like this. All right, so if you've created a component here, to be able to use it, you just make sure that you get the name of the component here that you've created. And as you can see, it's in a functional component. So you basically get the name of that function component. Come to wherever you want to use it. In our case, I want to use it inside the main entrance of our app, which is the index.tsx file. And then we are going to clear everything here, but we're going to leave the view. We're going to clear everything here and paste it over here. So we are basically going to import the lesson 2. As you can see, since we are using TypeScript, you're able to import it from the components. And then you get it here like this. Good. So instead of clearing everything here, so as you can see, because we imported it, let me bring it back. Because we imported it, inside the lesson 2, this is all that we have. That's why we are seeing this lesson 2 here. But what I actually want us to do is to transport what we had here initially over there. So let me undo this and then copy these items here. Let me just copy everything here and then go ahead and then paste it in here like this. And also copy the styles here like this. And then paste it over here. Also, let's go ahead and then copy these functions and then paste them in here like this. So what we are trying to do basically is to just extract what we have here in the main entrance and make it as a component so that we can have other components inside the main. So let's replace the imports with this, and now everything is good. So over here, we can now go ahead and then start clearing these things that we have here, but we'll leave the view components here like this. And then we can also clear these styles and then clear this function. Now we can go ahead and then import the lesson 2 like this. So basically, this is how we use components in React and React Native. You can basically extract some pieces of code in your project so that you make your project a lot more readable. So we've extracted the lesson 2 here, and you can see the project is now very clean. If you want to know what's in lesson 2, you can basically just jump into it like this by command clicking on it, and then it's going to open the file for you like this. Okay, so let's remove the unused imports just to optimize the code a little bit more. All right, so as you can see, we still have the same thing. Nothing really has changed. So at this point, we can go ahead and then create a new file in the components folder and call it lesson 3, which is what we'll be doing today. lesson3.tsx, do our favorite RNFES, and then change the name to lesson 3 like this. And then we can go ahead and then import it over here like this. Make sure you import it like this. So what I'm using to get a shortcut is basically pressing on Mac Control plus space, and then it's going to give me the option to import it. So let me remove it so that you see. So Control plus space is going to give me the option to get a direct import. Otherwise, I'm going to have to type the import statement yourself, which is the import lesson 2 from components/lesson 2. So I'm going to go ahead and then hit enter. This is for Mac Control plus space. On Windows, I think it is Command or Control plus space. That's the same thing that you're going to use. All right. So this is the lesson 3 over here, as you can see here. So let's comment out. Let me actually restart the server to make sure that we are updated. Okay, so what we want to do now is we want to comment out this lesson 2 here because we don't want it to appear on the screen. So as you can see, because this lesson 2 here has a flex 1 on the styling, it has actually taken the whole space. So we are not seeing the lesson 3. So since we are no longer doing the lesson 2, we can comment it out so that it's just left with the lesson 3. So as you can see that now we have the lesson 3. All right, so let's get into the lesson 3 here. Now, the lesson 3 over here, now I'm going to talk about the useState hook, right? So let me first write the statement over here saying my name is Kelvin, like this, right? Now, this is how you write the useState hook. You basically say useState like this. Let me use the snippet here. So we have the first value inside this array item here like this. We have the first value and then the set value. And we have the useState and then the initial value. And I'm going to explain. So the first values that we're going to be using is name. And then let's say set name. And let's import the useState from React like this. And our initial value here can be anything. We can make it a string. It can be a number. It can be a boolean. Any data type at all you want to use. So in our case, we're going to be using a string. And let's put make the initial value Kelvin, which is my name. Now, instead of typing my name is Kelvin here directly, let's restart the server so that it shows over here. As you can see that my name is Kelvin is here. Let's make the text a little bit bigger by adding an inline style here. Let's see, font size is 30 like this. Okay, so my name is Kelvin and it's more visible. So instead of typing in the name directly here, we can basically use the variable over here and then put it in this curly braces and then paste the name. Now you can see nothing has changed except that the name is now being fetched from the state value over here. So basically this is how we add states in React applications, React Native applications, be it web or mobile. This is basically how it's done. So I'm now using the value over here. Now this set name here is a function that we are going to use to change the value over here anytime we want to do that. Okay, now let's see how that works. Let's add a button here like this. Let's use the normal native button, and then let's add a title of, let's say, change name here like this, right? So basically that's the title name, and let's add a function. Let's create a function and say const change name. It's an arrow function, and then what it's simply going to do is to use the set name and then change the name to, let's say, SOA like this, right? So this set name, like I said, is a function that helps us to change the value of the state. So right now the value of the state is the initial value that we've set here, which is Kelvin, and then we are going to use the set name to change the value to SOA. Okay, now this is a function. We are going to basically call the function over here, say on press, and we set the change name over here. So when we press the button, this Kelvin should change to SOA. So my name is, and then as you can see, it changed to SOA and so on. Now we can also add another state here, and let's see, let's call it age like this. Let's change the A to capital A here, and we can also keep an integer over here. So let's see, let's just assume that I am 75 years old, which is not my age though. So let's say that's my age, and over here I'm going to add a text. Let's duplicate this line and say I am. So if you want to know how I duplicate it, I simply used shift options and then the arrow keys, whether the up or the down, is going to duplicate the line for you. Say I am, let's add the curly braces, I am age years old like this. Okay, so as you can see, it's saying I am 75 years old, which is the initial value that we've set. So if you want to change the age whenever the button gets pressed, so we are going to say set age to, let's say, 85. Okay, so let's start the app again. So when I do this, I'm simply pressing the R button to reload the app. So R is going to reload the app again. So now when we press, so the initial values, as you can see here, is Kelvin and 75. So that's what I was saying. My name is Kelvin, I am 75. Now when we press the button, it should change. My name is SOA, I am 85 years old. Yeah, so basically this is just a high level overview of the useState hook. Now let's talk about the useEffect hook. So for the useEffect hook, it basically handles functions that you want to run whenever the app mounts. So let me import it from React. So import the useEffect from React, and then let's clear these things. So this is basically how we write the useEffect, right? You write the useEffect, and then you open this braces and add an arrow function here like this. And it also takes a dependency array, which we'll be talking about in a moment. Now, this useEffect basically runs functions that we want to run whenever the app mounts. Okay, so let's see, we have this function here, const handle on mount like this, and then let's see, the only thing the function does is it logs this on the console that app successfully mounted like this. Okay, so this is basically what the function does, and we want this function to always run whenever the app mounts, whenever the app is done building, right? So now when we open the terminal, as you can see, it is even appearing here, app successfully mounted. Now if you refresh the page, it should come back again, as you can see. So anytime the app mounts, this function gets run. Okay, this function gets run. Now we can also add values inside the dependency array. So if you add a value inside the dependency array, whenever that value changes, this function gets run. Now we can test it by putting the name variable over here. So now what we've done now is that whenever the value of name changes, this function is going to run. Okay, so over here, let's restart the app. So just like the usual, anytime the app mounts, the function runs, and then it logs app successfully mounted. Now, because of the dependency array here, when I press this change name and then the value of name changes, we should see the log back in the console again. So let's try that. Change name. And as you can see, it changed because the value of the name has changed. So basically, that's how we can actually make use of the useEffect hook as well. Okay, so at this point, I think we can push our code to GitHub. So let's commit this, and then let's call it hooks. And let's go ahead and commit it and publish the branch as well. Good. All right. If this video has been helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and then share this video, and also subscribe to this YouTube channel if you haven't already. And this really helps the channel a lot. Thank you very much, and catch you in the next video.